What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 170, and today we're going to break down the 2025 shortstop rankings. With another full house with me again this week. Happy to be here with you guys. First, from Hillsdale, New Jersey, it is Mike Haber returning to the show. Mike, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks so much for including me in this. So excited to talk shortstops with you guys.
It's going to be a wild and crazy show. We are all over the map on this position. There is not one single guy who is a consensus at any position.
Wow.
So we are going to be all over the place. Frank Bucco is all over the place, but he's right here with us. How you doing tonight, Frank?
I am all over the place, and it still makes the viewers sick that you guys are twinning. I just want to let people know that.
Well, the man who is twinning with me, rocking the Francisco Lindor jerseys from Denver, Colorado, Jason Ashby. Jason, how you feeling about shortstop this year, man?
It's a deep position. It's probably one of the deepest positions out there this year. A lot of good talent at the top, and a lot of kind of up and comers, or maybe there's something there, guys, towards the middle and the bottom. So it's a pretty deep position, I think, this year.
Yeah, and there's a couple of rookies coming to try to get jobs this season. We'll have to see if they break camp with their respective teams, but we'll get into those later on in the show. Let's dive into this thing and start with our number one shortstop. He is everybody's number one except for Jason, who has him at number two. It's Bobby Witt. Jason, how did you split the hair between your number one and Bobby Witt here?
I mean, spoiler alert: position eligibility is probably the biggest split, and the lineup. Because spoiler alert, my number one is going to be Mookie Betts, and he has second base, shortstop, and right field eligibility. If he's healthy, he's one of the best athletes in baseball. Nothing to take away from Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt is a tremendous talent, and I love everything he does on the field. He just he's just the one eligibility. So that's really the splitting hair.
Bobby Witt is going in the top three in mock drafts so far that I've seen this preseason. Mike Haber, he's number one for you. How close was it with your number two?
Honestly, I don't think it was very close. I think Bobby Witt has earned a top three, maybe even, I don't want to say first overall in the bigs, but he's close. He's up there. And he's so young, and the Royals lineup is obviously not as talented as the Dodgers, but he's hitting around some talent, and you know, everyone knew how talented he was last year, and that didn't stop him from getting on base and doing everything he needed to do. So he's going to be number one for a while, I think.
He's absolutely was number one this past season, being the runner-up of the MVP to Aaron Judge. Frank,
Yes.
what do you love about Bobby Witt here? Because you're a guy who rostered him for an entire year while he was in the minors. We all have heard that story many years over.
Yes.
Would you take him in the top four this year?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally would. Um, Regardless of the lineup is going to be pretty much the same with the addition of India, and he still scored 125 runs, had 211 hits, 45 doubles, 11 triples, 32 homers, 109 RBIs. Walk to strikeout ratio is amazing, or pretty good. Well, I shouldn't say amazing, but pretty good. I mean, 31 steals, a 332 and a 389. Yeah. Why wouldn't you take that top four?
Absolutely. He was, like I said, the best shortstop last year. The question is, can he repeat it, and can he really live up to a 332 batting average again this year? We'll have to wait and see. I certainly hope so, because this kid is exciting and electric to watch. Our number two shortstop this year is, in fact, my number two, Mike's number two, Jason's number one from a moment ago, and Frank has him at number three. It's Mookie Betts. Now, Frank, how did you split the hair between Mookie Betts and your number two, who's going to be Gunnar Henderson, our next entry here on the list?
Well, I mean, we're ranking like legit shortstops. I mean, I mean, yes, the position eligibility is great, but a guy who's going to play shortstop over a guy who might not, is really the difference.
Okay.
It's not a matter of whether he can play the game. We all know how good of a player Mookie is, but when you're looking at shortstops, I mean, that's what split the hairs there for me.
Okay. And listen, the Orioles lineup isn't anything to sneeze at. They're going to score a bunch of runs this year, and Gunnar Henderson's going to be right in the middle of it. I personally would take Mookie Betts with the positional eligibility over Gunnar, but it's really, really close. I mean, I could really listen to an argument that says that he would be over that player. Mike Haber, you've got the same top three that I do in Witt, Betts, and Gunnar Henderson. Was this ever a question of flipping Gunnar and Betts, or?
I don't think so. No, Mookie Betts he had a down year last year, and if you're looking at that, there was an injury, pretty significant injury, right? But I mean, all of the peripheral stats that you want to see, he has more walks than strikeouts. Like this is the guy. This is a guy that does it all. He's a lock for 100 runs. He's if he stays healthy, he's a lock for 35, 40 doubles. Like he does everything on a baseball field and will always be on base and will always be driven in. So I don't know. He's a clear number 2 for me.
His
Jason-
injury, he was hit on the hand, and he suffered a broken hand, which normally is a catastrophe. But he came back in the postseason and was on fire. So he showed no ill effects of that. So I don't expect there to be any kind of lingering effects going into the 2025 season for Mookie Betts.
It's going to be very interesting when we break this down, and I want to see who goes first in the draft, whether it is going to be Gunnar Henderson or Mookie Betts. I think that's a really interesting spot around the 6-7 pick in the draft where you're going to have to make that decision.
Just a side note.
Yeah.
Gunnar is hitting first in that Orioles lineup, by the way.
That is nasty. It is nasty. He could score 100 runs there too.
The one thing I'll say about Gunnar, and I don't know if we've officially gotten to him or not, but he did commit 25 errors last year. And that is a category in the bigs. So
Wow.
One a week. That's one a week, gentlemen.
Yeah. So, I mean, he has a great talent. I have him at number 4. But the 25 errors is what kind of knocks him a little bit down for me.
Yeah, but I love the fact that he hit 37 homers, drove in 92, and scored 118.
Yeah.
Like, that is absolutely, and I don't see a reason he can't repeat that.
No, it's probably going to get better at the leadoff spot.
And
right.
They're moving the fences in, so it's going to
I think
Exactly.
I'd like him to bring those strikeout numbers down just a bit before he can push Mookie Betts out for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, he struck out 22% of the time last year. That's league average. Like, that's good, but it's once a game when you break it down.
Yeah.
Our number 4 shortstop this year is my number 4, Jason's number 3, Frank's number 5. Mike, you've also got him at 4, and you're here with me on Francisco Lindor. It is the time to talk about the jerseys and talk about the guy that leads the New York Mets. Jason, I'll give this floor to you again, as you've got him at 3, and you've got him over Gunnar.
Yeah. The defense is probably what splits that hair for me. Because otherwise they're pretty much a similar stat line. When you look at it, obviously, I mean, Lindor's batting average is a little bit better. Didn't strike out as much, but overall they're pretty similar. But it's the defense that really did it for me. And I mean, maybe it's a bit of a homer pick, but he's going to be sitting on top of Juan Soto and Mark Vientos. So no reason why he can't score another 100 runs again this year.
And he may potentially be sitting on Pete Alonso as well. We will see in the next coming days whether or not that's going to come to fruition. But Mike Haber, I'll ask you this. If Pete comes back to the lineup, is there any consideration to move Lindor up above Gunnar?
Yeah. I would definitely consider it. I was torn as it is with these two guys. And frankly, if I'm put in that 7-8 spot like you talked about, Joe, and Mookie is off the board and Bobby Witt's off the board, I don't know. I may lean towards Lindor just because of the track record and the history and Juan Soto hitting behind him. It doesn't get much better than that for me.
No, and I mean, you're still getting a really nice walk to strikeout ratio. Frank,
Yes, sir.
Francisco Lindor or Juan Soto in the first round?
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto?
Mhm.
Okay. Because I feel like that's a decision you might have to make in the middle round right there.
Yep.
There's a lot of really interesting names in the middle this year. I'll be interested to see what happens
it's
here.
it's gonna be exciting to see.
Yeah.
Number
Lindor's
5.
leading off.
He is. He is.
Yeah.
Number 5 for us. Frank, you've got him at 4. Jason at 8. Mike, you and I have him at number 5. It's Ellie De La Cruz. Frank, you drafted him last year and ended up trading him away. I'll ask you, do you feel like this is somebody you could draft in the first round this year?
Yeah, I mean, I do now. I didn't when I did, I didn't when I had him.
Mm-hmm.
The errors were a thing for me. And it's just, the errors were big for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean,
He led all major leagues with 29 errors.
yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
And he led all of MLB with 218 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking a lot of heavy hitting right there if you're taking this guy in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, somebody might see the 67 steals last year and take a look at something like this kid growing into his body and hitting 30 home runs and stealing 60 bags. All of a sudden, we're talking about Ronald Acuna territory that only we've seen one guy do.
Yep.
He did score 105 runs last year.
He did.
He did.
Where's roster resource have him hitting in this lineup?
Second.
Which I think is where he was last year for the most part.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
With Matt McClain and Tyler Stevenson behind him.
Yeah.
Man, I don't like this lineup.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
Everything keeps pointing toward don't draft this guy in the first round. He might be the bust of the first round.
I just feel like he's such a hand grenade.
Mm-hmm.
He can be on top of the world. He's got the talent, but he can also just sink your team with the strikeouts and the errors.
No doubt.
That's why I traded him.
Yeah. I mean, the batting average wasn't terrible. I don't know what his BABIP was, but
359.
What was it?
359.
That's 100 points better than his actual batting average.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And his expected batting average was even lower than his actual this ridiculous BABIP.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm seeing this
could be bottom out crater territory.
I'm seeing this guy go in like the top 5 overall in mock drafts, and it's
no, I can't do that.
I'm right there with you, Jason. There's no way I can wrap my head around that with as volatile of a player as this is.
Kyle Tucker, is that the decision people are making?
What, him or
Kyle Tucker, or is it him or like
Mookie Betts? Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
With how deep and talented this position is,
mm-hmm.
I can find better talent later on in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about 19 names here. We're going to move on to number 6 because we could probably spin our wheels and talk about Ellie and how bad he's going to. He might be the bust of the entire draft.
He could
be in the minors by Mother's Day, or he could be a league winner and do what he did last year.
Yeah,
I think being the minors.
It's a big risk.
How bad that team is. You gotta have something to sell tickets.
Yeah, that's true. They gotta have somebody there. Our number 6 is almost a consensus number 6. Frank had him at number 7, so he's got him right here in the same spot. It's Trey Turner. We like Trey Turner. We like the lineup. Are we just concerned about a health thing, Jason? Is that where we're at?
I think so. 121 games last year, He's 32, so he's not ancient, but we're starting to see a little bit of wear from him. But I mean, overall, the numbers are still pretty much what we expect from him. So I'd be fine with him as my shortstop. Like I'm not out on him or anything like that.
He was my shortstop last year. I mean, I drafted him in the first round, and I think I'm disappointed in what he put up for me. I expected something more like at least 25-25, more like looking for a 30-30 season out of this guy. And instead, I don't even get 20-20. But I have a 295 batting average, 338 on base. Frank, let me ask you this. At the back end of the first round or early second round, would you take Trey Turner?
Probably not.
No?
No.
You probably want to wait a little bit more on a shortstop there.
I'm sure I'll have found something else by the end of the first round that's better, hopefully. I mean, yeah. I like the lineup. I just like you said, I just it just it could be a health thing. It could be, uh, it doesn't look like he's running as much as he used to. But then again, he was hurt. But I mean, yeah, no.
Mike Haber, you've been very critical about the Phillies lineup. I'm going to give you an opportunity here to talk about any concerns you have about Trey Turner.
Yeah, I mean the extra base hits have been trending in the wrong direction the past 3 years, 4 years, 3 years. This guy didn't hit one triple for you last year, Joe. Not one.
Goose egg.
Doubles are down. Like Frank said, he's not running as much. I mean, he still hits he's a contact hitter. He's a good contact hitter, but if you're talking second round in the bigs, I don't know that you want to necessarily draft a contact hitter. When you can get 20-20 probably in like round 7 or 8 on another player. So,
yeah, I mean, you might be able to get that out of George Springer.
Yeah, you could.
Or
Very
Randy.
easily. Yeah.
Or Randy Arozarena. Much later. Much later.
Definitely 20-20 out of Randy.
Yeah.
Also, 17 errors in 121 games.
Yeah. Disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, he was not good as my first rounder, and I picked him one spot in front of Jose Ramirez, who almost went 40-40 and what was it, 40-40-40?
Yeah.
I definitely don't feel like Trey Turner is a first rounder, but he's still somebody that is a good safety blanket, but I wouldn't see him go in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, if somehow he's there at the back end of the second round and I start with somebody like Judge and it goes Judge, Trey Turner, I'm pretty happy with that.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, our number 7 shortstop here is, in fact, my number 7 as well as Mike Haber's number 7. And just in case you were counting along, Mike Haber, you and I had the first 7 in the same order as the aggregate.
Wow.
So that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun.
Good for us.
Copying each other's homework.
This is Jason's number 5 and Frank's number 6, so they actually like him a little bit more than this spot. It's Corey Seager. Frank, you're highest on Corey Seager. I'll give you an opportunity here to talk about the Rangers and their lineup.
Yeah, I mean, last year Seager, I mean, he was what you expect. I mean, 30 homers, 74, 70-ish RBIs, a little down from, previous years. Actually down a lot from last year, and he played less games in 23 than he did in 24. The Texas lineup, I mean, with him there, they have him hitting second behind Semien, and then Wyatt Langford, Jock Peterson. Okay, I like Jock Peterson. Wyatt Langford, I'm not sold on him. And then Adolis Garcia, I'm definitely not sold on.
So you're not thinking there's going to be a Rangers bounce back after their World Series sort of
I don't think
hangover
so.
year? Okay.
No, not really. No.
Okay. Jason, you seem to like him as well here at number 5.
Yeah.
What?
I think there will be a bounce back.
Yeah.
I think last year the whole team slumped. Everybody was terrible in that lineup. It was the World Series hangover. Adolis Garcia was bad. Marcus Semien was bad. Like Nathaniel Lowe was bad. Everybody was bad in that lineup together. I think there's reason to suspect that there'll be a bounce back for everybody this year. And with Seager on top, look, even if he doesn't play a full 155 games, whatever, he's still hitting the cover off the ball. Only committed 7 errors last year, so the defense is spot on. He's younger than Trey Turner, so that's why that's what gives him the edge for me. He's right above Trey Turner for me.
Okay. And I've got him just behind Trey Turner. Mike, you have him the same way. What split the hair here with Trey Turner? Because for me, it was the stolen bases.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the fact that Seager doesn't really run much at all. He's not going to give you any triples or steals. Other than that, I mean, he's consistency in a shortstop that 30 home runs from a shortstop was not easy to find a few years ago. And now we almost take it for granted. But Seager is someone that, he'll provide you with what you're looking for and you'll be happy. 7th overall from a shortstop perspective, like I'd be thrilled if I ended up with Seager on my team.
Mm-hmm.
In order to get to 30 homers as a shortstop last year, you had to play at least 159 games. Bobby Witt played 161 and hit 32 homers. Gunnar Henderson played 159 and hit 37 and led the position. Francisco Lindor played 152 and hit 33 homers. And then there's Corey Seager, who played 123 games and still hit 30 homers.
Yep.
So I think if we ever see an actual full healthy season of Corey Seager, you might see a first-round caliber player. Mm-hmm. However, you have to bake in the injury risk that exists with this guy because he hasn't played a full season in a long time. The last time he did, I think he was second in MVP voting.
2022, he played 151 games, hit 33 homers, but he only hit 245 with a 317 on base, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. So his rate stats were down a bit that year, but the power was still there. Yeah, the injury risk is definitely a thing, but I think he is as solid as it gets.
All right. We'll move on to number 8 here. And this is one that I said last week. I wanted to see where everybody was at on this guy. He's my number 8. He's Jason's number 7. And Frank and Mike both have him at 10. New home for Willy Adames in San Francisco. Frank, you're not liking the new home, and you've got him down at 10. Is that because of the move to San Francisco and that lineup?
Yeah, I don't like that lineup at all. That lineup is, I mean, the power numbers are nice, but I mean, go ahead and try to hit one out to left field in that park. It's not easy. Yeah, I don't like the lineup at all. And that's what bothers me about it. Like, he's a good player. I won't take that away from him, but I don't like that lineup. It's awful.
4th round, you're still looking for a shortstop. Are you taking Willy Adames, Jason Ashby?
4th round, I could see that. Yeah, but by the 4th round, I'd be happy with him in the 4th round. The lineup isn't great. Ballpark is whatever, but he's still a 30 home run shortstop. 112 RBIs with the Brewers last year, and their offense wasn't the best. So yeah, he strikes out a lot. He definitely he strikes out I think more than any guy we talked about so far.
Except for Ellie.
Other than Ellie. But I 33 doubles, so he's a good all around player. He even chipped in 21 stolen bases. So yeah, I'd be happy with him in the 4th round.
I don't think we're going to see 32 homers this year. I don't think we're going to see anywhere near 112 RBIs. I don't think we're going to see 21 steals. I think we're going to see a very drastic step back simply because of the home ballpark, simply because of that the pressure that's on him and Matt Chapman to succeed in this new Buster. I was going to say Buster Olney, but it's Buster Posey. Buster Posey led team. Mike Haber, you seem to also be out on Willy Adames. You've got him at 10.
Yeah, I just don't necessarily trust what happened last year. I think he overperformed his you know,
Here.
yeah, in the walk year. I see him regressing close to something what he did in 2023. Um, and last year you wouldn't see me drafting this guy even in the, first 8 to 10 rounds of the bigs because he had 217 in 2023. And that's something that scares me a little bit, to be honest, that I wouldn't be shocked if he regressed back into the 230s for a batting average this year.
Yeah. He could be another hand grenade here in the fourth round that somebody is going to have to make a decision on whether or not they continue to wait after this because though it is a deep position, there is a very clear delineation between
Yeah.
levels of shortstop. I think this is the last guy that you go, okay, that's a superstar shortstop.
Yes. That's my camp.
Yeah. Frank,
Yeah.
are you cutting it off there, or you got one more name on your list here that you would consider a superstar starting shortstop for your team?
I mean, maybe one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on to number 9 here. We've got Frank's it's Frank's number 14. Jason, you're number 12, my number 10, and Mike, you're the high guy on him at 8. It's O'Neal Cruz. Tell me about O'Neal Cruz and why you like him so much there, Mike Haber.
Yeah, I mean, we're all waiting for the stars to align for this guy. Um, he hits the ball really freaking hard, like really hard. Um, and last year was his first full season, so I expected some growing pains. The strikeouts are bad, but you know, it, would I be shocked to see him at a 30-30 next year? No, not at all. And I think the more he develops and the more he grows, I think he's going to start to figure out like a little bit more of the contact. There are some red flags, and I can admit to that, but I see this guy as kind of like the up and comer. No spoilers for later, but he will be one of my picks for later.
Frank, you sound like you're out on O'Neal Cruz, having him at 14. What's the story here? What don't you like?
I see another Ellie De La Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 181 strikeouts, 22 steals, 21 homers, 76 RBIs. He plays on a pretty bad team in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not there. I'm not there with it.
I can understand. I mean, I've got him at 10. I feel like the ceiling is a 30-30 season like Mike Haber's talking about, but just like we talked about with Ellie De La Cruz, this is a hand grenade. This can absolutely blow up in your hand and cost you a couple of fingers if you have to draft this guy in the 4th or 5th round.
Isn't he due to play the outfield too?
So they're moving him to center field,
Mhm.
which like I don't want to compare the two necessarily, but if we look at what happened with Jazz Chisholm when the Marlins moved him to center field, he cratered. So I don't know what to expect from O'Neal Cruz out in center field. He committed 24 errors as a shortstop last year, which was pretty awful.
Yeah.
He's basically a 3-year older Ellie De La Cruz playing on a worse team in a worse ballpark.
Yeah.
Well, the
And
team's worse, Pittsburgh or Cincinnati.
and I mean it's not as if Pittsburgh's going to spend some money and suddenly this lineup can get better and Ellie De La Cruz can come up the rankings here. Any improvement is going to have to come from him. He's going to have to get this strikeout rate down. He's going to have a better plate discipline to get his on base percentage better than a 324. This is going to have to show maturity and improvement that I just don't know that he's going to get. But he's fun and he's electric and he hits the ball really hard. So maybe you get a
So,
40 homer season out of him.
well, I guess my question is, would you rather take Ellie De La Cruz in, I don't know, the first 7 picks of round 1, or O'Neal Cruz in at the back end of round 4?
Probably that.
I would probably take O'Neal Cruz at that value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which is
That's-
telling.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Our number 10 shortstop this year. Frank has it 8. Jason has it 10. Mike, you and I are out on this guy. You have him at 13. I have him at 14. It's Bo Bichette. He had one bad year, but that bad year was really bad, and his right leg might just be shot. I'm concerned. Jason, talk to me about Bo Bichette.
Yeah, I'm not ready to write him off just yet. Like I said, one bad year. Obviously the games played has decreased over the last 2 years. Look, there's no sugarcoating it. Last year was just awful. But again, similar to the Rangers, I feel the entire Blue Jays team just disappointed, and I still suspect that there is gonna be some level of bounce back. They brought in Anthony Santander. Vlad is still there. Who knows what else they're going to do to that lineup? But I have to, he's only 27 years old, so like it's not like we're seeing the twilight of his career here. I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. One more bad year like this, and yeah, I'm probably out with you guys. But right now, I still need to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Frank, you've got him at 8, and you said that there was one more name that you would consider a superstar shortstop. Is this the guy?
Yeah, he's the guy. I mean, yeah, one bad year, okay, cool. It happens. But, historically his numbers have been pretty good, really good. So I mean, he would be the end of that tier for me.
Mm-hmm.
He would be the last guy. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Mike, he had one bad year. Why are we writing him off?
I won't be drafting him this year. I'm just giving you the heads up. So
Yeah,
that's my spoiler for you guys. Not drafting Bo Bichette. Someone else can have him.
Yeah, I'm
He'll end
out
up on Ben's team.
I'm out on this guy too. I think even in a walk year, I don't know that this guy is going to really put up numbers. Listen, I think he's the type of guy who just needs a change of scenery. And if he gets traded somewhere, then more power to him. I might be able to move him up a couple of spots. I worry that 2023 was the product of 2 really strong months at the end of the year, especially a stupid strong September. And then 2024 was this disaster of an injury-plagued season. So I don't know. It's kind of 2 bad years for me.
Yeah. I felt like as like when the Blue Jays were like super young and promising and exciting, and we were all excited about Biggio and Bichette and like Springer and then everything just failed and flopped and sort of like flatlined. I don't know. Maybe Bo Bichette's passion for baseball went with it. I don't know.
We've compared them to the White Sox, right? The same time, both those teams were supposed to be fun and exciting, and they did not deliver on that.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting on Bo Bichette's walk year to see what he does to try to bounce back here and try to get a big contract. But I wonder if the Blue Jays are suddenly out of it in June. But that's the dude we could get some really good pieces for. We'll see. Our number 11 shortstop here, Mike. You're out on this guy. He's your number 16. Frank at 15. Jason, you've got him at 11, and I've got him at 12. It is Carlos Correa. I know why Frank's out on him. He's been out on him for a few years now, and he's been correct. This guy is injury prone. Yes. There's no reason to draft him if you only get 50 to 60 games a year. This past year, what did we get? Oh, 86. Look, it was 86 games. It was half a season. So and hang on, he's dealing with something with his foot again already this preseason. Oh no, is Carlos Correa going to miss time to start the season? I think I'm moving him down myself.
Is that true? I didn't hear that. I'm seeing Correa declared himself ready for spring training Saturday after spending the first part of the offseason rehabbing from plantar fasciitis in his right foot. So he says he's ready.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, sure.
All right.
But
we'll see.
look, 86 games, and he still, had a really good year for 86 games. So, like, yeah, maybe if you draft him, maybe, further on down, you draft, a kind of Falefa or somebody else who can step in like as an injury replacement because it's going to happen. But when he's healthy, he still is one of the better hitting shortstops in baseball.
Byron Buxton had a good week last year too.
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
Sorry,
Well
continue.
done.
Dynamite
Well
dropping,
done.
Monty.
Well done. Listen, I don't like the Twins lineup either. I don't think it's improved with the removal of Carlos Santana, the removal of Max Kepler out of that lineup, and now they're just going to either go with the kids or Randall Grichuk might land there. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's not good. It's not good there.
Harley
But
Blackman's going to unretire and wind up there for some reason.
Somehow.
And Ben will roster him. It's a thing.
Our number 12 shortstop is, in fact, Ezekiel Tovar. I've got him at 11, Jason at 15, Frank at 13, and Mike, you don't like the Colorado Rockies shortstop. You've got him at 18. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like some of his peripheral numbers here. He strikes out an awful lot, and I mean, I'm pretty sure he is second, right, to Ellie. He
Yeah.
hit that 200 strikeout mark last
Mhm.
year.
yeah,
And that definitely scares me. I think he's a product of the environment he plays in, which inflated his numbers a bit last year. And by a bit, I mean a decent amount. And he's 22 years old, so maybe he gets better, and maybe he learns a little bit more plate discipline. But the 23 walks to 200 strikeouts to me is the red flag, and the 295 on base too. So it's like just nothing I want to draft, I don't think.
he
Yeah.
only hits the ball. He only has a 40% hard hit rate. So he doesn't hit the ball especially hard. Only 6 steals, so he's not even supplanting that with stolen bases. The 45 doubles is really nice, but I'm worried. He's only 23, so there's room to grow. So maybe some of those 45 doubles become home runs, but yeah, if he can't cut down on those strikeout rates and improve the walk rates, I don't know if I can really invest in him.
How was his defense? I feel like he was pretty good at shortstop.
Let's see. He committed only 8 errors. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he in fact he won the Gold Glove.
Okay, so he was a defensive wizard, and he gave you middling batting average, bad on base percentage, a bunch of strikeouts, no walks, 25 plus homers, 75 RBIs, 45 doubles, and 80 plus runs scored. It's just an interesting stat line because
it's a mixed bag, right?
Yeah. Frank, what round would you feel comfortable taking him in? 8th, the 10th, the 12th?
Yeah, I would say more like the 10th round.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I haven't drafted a shortstop by the 10th round, like I'd be happy with that. Okay. I mean, yeah, the 200 strikeout sucks, but I mean, errors are a category in our league.
Yeah.
And if he only committed 8 errors, listen, you're in Colorado, you're hitting in front of people like Chris Bryant, who decides he doesn't want to play baseball anymore. So you have to do something to get on base, and you have to do something. I mean, Ryan McMahon is behind him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is that he has no real competition. So that you're going to get 160 games out of him because there's nobody else. Kyle Farmer is really the only competition there for infield reps.
Yeah, and they're not playing Kyle Farmer over this kid. Not a chance in hell. No chance. Our number 13 is probably the biggest gap between who we have at the top and who we've got at the bottom. I've got him at 9. Mike's got him at 9.
I was wondering where this guy was coming in.
Frank has him at 19, and Jason has him at 24. Jason, what's wrong with CJ Abrams?
Yeah, I don't know. And I know I've been singing the praises about the Nationals, and I think that they're going to be better than we think they're going to be. I probably could move him up a little bit. I'm just looking at his numbers from last year, and they were just mediocre. The 31 steals is nice, but at 246 with a 314 on base, not a tremendous. He didn't hit the ball tremendously hard. The strikeout rate was not great. The walk rate was not great. The home run rate was not great. So, compared to other guys on this list, I probably feel more comfortable with some of these other guys.
Frank, do you think this is a guy that could take a step forward, or are you out on CJ Abrams?
I wouldn't draft him before Ezekiel Tovar, that's for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't particularly care for the Nationals lineup. And I mean, he doesn't strike out. I mean, 128 strikeouts. It's probably around league average, I would say.
Yeah.
20 homers is nice. 65 RBIs if you're looking for a shortstop, like in round 12.
I don't think that's where he's going to end up going, though, because those 30 steals are going to carry some weight here. Mike, you and I both have him at 9. I like this guy.
I don't know what I'm missing here, but I can't rank him. I can't rank Ezekiel Tovar over this guy. He strikes out significantly less. He walks more. He steals bases. Maybe it's the errors. What's his errors total from last year?
In 138 games, he committed 17 errors.
Okay, that's not great.
Maybe he's got hands like feet.
But he can run. He can hit triples for you. He's leading off. For me, this guy is worlds above Tovar. Just for me personally.
I've only got him 2 spots apart, right? I've got Tovar kind of high myself, only because I see potential in a 30 homer season out of that guy, where I don't see a 30 homer season out of CJ Abrams. But I certainly do see 30 steals a year for a while.
He had 47 2 years ago.
Exactly. And I think 30 is a safe floor for him. I think this is about the worst season we're going to see for a little bit here. I think this kid's ultra talented.
Yeah, I probably could move him up. Because again, I do like the Nationals lineup, and he's sitting on top of, of a very young but lots of hype lineup with Dylan Cruz and James Wood, behind him. So yeah, I can see the argument.
Let's move on to number 14 here. We've got Xander Bogaerts. I've got him at 18. Jason has him at 9. Frank at 18, and Mike at 21. Jason, what are we missing on Xander Bogaerts? Because we're all out. What do you love about this guy?
Look, we talked about it on the second base show. I really am prepared to give him, just like Bo Bichette, the benefit of the doubt that last year was just an injury plagued year. And look, it wasn't good, but prior to that, he was fine. Like he was a really good all rounded shortstop. Hit for power, stole bases, good batting average, good on base. So one bad year is not going to knock him down to the bottom of the rankings for me, especially because I like the Padres lineup.
Frank, you seem to be out on the Padres lineup. You've said so in the past. I just want to check in. Is that still the case here with Xander Bogaerts? Is that what catches him further down the list for you?
Yeah, I mean, even though, he is going to be playing shortstop primarily for them. I mean, it's just, again, he's 32. So there's mileage on there. And it's just the numbers, they're not what they were in Boston. They haven't been, 285 and 350 and 23 and 264 and 307. The homer numbers are around the same, but except for earlier in Boston. But doubles numbers have gone down. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
he's been in decline the past couple of years since he got to San Diego. I think it's been a bit of a regression from what we saw in Boston. There was a period of time where I thought this guy was the most underrated player in baseball, and now I don't think I would touch him before round 12. Mike Haber, you got him at 21. You're out.
Yeah, I'm out. We touched upon it a bit in the second base show, but it's just another one of those guys. Like, I'm not gonna say he's not talented because he is, and it's almost like a Bo Bichette to me. Someone else can draft him this year, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm willing to take that risk this year.
I think the guy that I am feeling that exact same way about is the next guy on our list here. He's number 15. I've got him at 15. Mike, you've got him at 14. Frank's got him at 16. And Jason's got him at 25. Jason's out on Anthony Volpe.
Yeah, nah, I'm good.
No chance that you're getting this guy on your roster. Frank, he's going to hit leadoff in the Yankees lineup. Is that intriguing enough for you?
no.
No?
No. I mean, listen, he had a great first half last year. Great first half. And the fact that you can't, with what you have behind you, when he had Soto, when he had Judge, and he still has Judge, and now it's Goldschmidt and Bellinger and Jazz and this person. Like, if you can't at least be credible, like, no, just stop. Like,
He hit almost exactly league average last year. 242 was league average. He hit 243. He had a 293 on base percentage. Mike Haber, defend your shortstop.
He's so young. He still has some growth to do. I mean, we got to cut the kid some slack. He is hitting under some of the most pressure and scrutiny that any position of any team will ever have. I mean, Lindor has handled it really well, being a shortstop in New York. Volpe is playing in the shadow of Derek Jeter and some of the other shortstops that have come through New York. Like, he's got some growing to do, and I think he's going to get better. I really do. There's a reason why he's ranked where he's ranked on my list, where he's not in my top 10, but I still he's someone that I'd want on my team because I think he's just going to improve.
It's going to be it's really important season for him this year, especially if they're going to continue to bat him lead off in that lineup. They need somebody to set the table in front of these big boppers, and they've got somebody interesting in Jazz right there behind him that has hit lead off in the past.
Yeah. I mean, last year's 293 on base. The year before was a 283 on base. Those are not leadoff quality numbers.
No, not a chance.
He did also commit 16 errors last year.
That too.
Wasn't he a Gold Glove finalist, or was that 23?
And he committed 17 errors in 23, so...
maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Possibly.
Our number 16 shortstop is probably, for me, the most underrated guy of this list. I've got him at 13, Jason at 19, Frank at 24, and Mike at 22. It's Jeremy Pena of the Houston Astros, and he's not going to light the world on fire. He's not going to kill you in batting average. He's not going to kill you in speed. He's not going to kill you in home runs. He'll drive in a decent number of runs. He's going to score some runs in that lineup. What am I missing with Jeremy Pena? Mike Haber?
He's average, I'd be okay with having him on my team, but he's hitting in the back half of that lineup. He doesn't have great guys hitting around him or after him. So there's not much protection there. And, if he does another 15 season and hits 260, okay, that's fine.
It's a very serviceable number.
It's serviceable.
And I feel like it's doable again. I feel like this is replicable.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Frank, you're the low man on him. Tell me what I'm missing here. What's up with Jeremy Pena? His walk to strikeout ratio is pretty good.
25 to 111 is good.
Yeah, he struck out 17% of the time last year. That's much better than league average.
Yeah.
I don't like those numbers side by side, but
Okay.
all right, fair enough. Again, another late round shortstop that if that's what you're looking for, then go get your 15 homers and 70 RBIs.
Yeah.
In that Astros lineup that
I feel
really
like you
isn't
could,
the same.
I feel like you could get this guy in the teens rounds here, like 15 or later.
He's somebody that, like, like I was mentioning, like you compare with like Carlos Correa, who is going to miss some time, so like maybe you have this guy as the backup, and then when Correa is back or if he's healthy, whatever, then you try and trade him, but maybe he's kind of like a plan B. Like you said, he's not going to kill you in anything. He's not going to set the world on fire. He's just like Mike said, he's average. He's mediocre. He's good. I don't have a problem with him. I'm just not crazy about him.
I'm not in love with this guy either, but I think he's very underrated. I think he could put together a really nice season and surprise some people at how good he could be this year.
And that's what I feel like that's what's great about shortstop this year too, is like you can wait and you can get Jeremy Pena in round, what did you say, Joe? 13, 14?
And
I would say 15 or later, man.
Yeah, and like still be fine,
Yeah. And you know what? There's still 3 more names that we all agree on here on this list. Number 17 is Xavier Edwards. Mike, you're the high guy at number 15. Jason and I have him at 22 and Frank at 20. What is it that you like so much about Xavier Edwards?
This is a little bit of recency bias on my part, but I lost to Jay Ferraro last year to go to the finals, and this fucker Xavier Edwards was literally on base every second of that matchup, and just racking up hits and runs and stolen bases. I'm losing to Xavier Edwards, and I've got Aaron Judge like striking out every at bat. So it's a little recency.
He stole 30 bags in 70 games.
Yeah.
They were all against me. He had a 400 on base percentage almost.
Yep. It's not sustainable, but it was an incredible run.
No chance that's sustainable. This is
he plays in Miami.
Yeah, this is slapdick prospect Nolan Jones. Like that's what this is.
7 errors. He made 7 errors.
Good for him.
Like,
good for him.
I think there's something here. He's only 24 years old.
One play.
I think there's something here.
I think that
I agree.
I guess we're gonna find out. Like, I don't think the Marlins have anybody banging down the door to play shortstop more than Xavier Edwards. So I think he deserves a run here. But I mean, he had a 398 average on balls in play. He was hitting 400 anytime he hit the ball in play. He hit one home run and stole 31 bases. I mean,
and hit 5 triples.
Yeah.
In 70 games.
Like I said, I think we're going to see run here. I just don't know that it's going to be anything that should be banked upon. I don't think anybody should be drafting this guy in the late rounds going, that's my starter.
No. That's why I have him in the, I have him at 22. You also have him at 22, right? So, like, yeah, he's kind of a dart throw, but there's talent here.
Fun fact, he is the guy that hit 3 triples in one day against my brother last year.
So 5 of those 3 triples came in one day. Or 3 of those 5 triples came in one day. Nice.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Wow. Number 18 on our list here is kind of the tipping point. Do you feel comfortable with a guy as my starting shortstop? I have him at 19, Jason at 16, Frank, you're out on this guy at 25, and Mike, you're also out on this guy at 20. It's Dansby Swanson. Now, Frank, this is a guy that has left the Atlanta Braves. I'll give you an opportunity to talk about Dansby Swanson and why you're out on him this year.
It always hurts when somebody leaves your team. But 16 homers, 60. This is hard. It's not good. I mean, 16 homers, 66 RBIs. Like, your homer numbers have gone down. Yeah. No, you're just not good.
I
You're just
wonder
not.
if
It's
Cubs. I
not good.
wonder if Cub fans are sort of feeling the same way Frank is, where your heart is sort of torn because the Cubs paid this guy so much money to come be their shortstop, and you're getting basically league average. You're getting Jeremy Pena numbers
Yeah.
out of a dude you're paying a ton of money to.
Yeah.
I
Instead,
was
we go
ho-
with
I was
Orlando
hoping
Arcia.
I was hoping some of the pressure would have come off this guy. I mean, he's not the guy in Chicago. He's what? He's their number 6 hitter at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and
you'd
again,
expect
hitting
him to
league
do a little
average
more.
with a 312 on base percentage. This isn't
Ugh.
this
I
isn't
mean-
somebody worth $20+ million a year.
I mean, his defense is elite. He had 990 fielding percentage last year, only 5 errors. But
awesome.
like, yeah, but that's not what we're paying for, and it's not what we're drafting for either.
As I said, that's one category out of how many?
Yeah. The strikeout rate has gone up yet again. It's up to 24.3%. That's above league average. I mean, he doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't barrel the ball particularly any more than his constituents. Like, this is league average, and the contract is so inflated that it's just kind of funny to look at and go, wow, this dude's making like, I think it was $28 million this year.
He's just very blah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not great. He, like I say, the reason he got as much money as he did is because he was playing around other people who were doing more than him, and he just kind of like fell in line. It's like, oh well, Riley's hitting the ball, this guy's hitting the ball, this guy's hitting the ball. Here, pay me a bunch of money to go be shit. That's how I look at it.
Our final entrant on the list this evening is going to be Mason Wynn. He's my number 17, Jason's number 20, Frank's 22, and Mike's 24. Do you just need to see some more out of Mason Wynn? Is that what we're looking at here, Mike?
Yeah. I'm just also not a huge fan of the Cardinals lineup. He's a good contact hitter, and I kind of like what he put together last year. But as far as like production numbers, I definitely want to see more. Definitely impressive that this guy's bat to ball, like his contact rate though, is not something to just turn a shoulder at. But I don't know that I could draft him as my starting shortstop.
I think he can be a starting shortstop. He's inside my top 19 where Dansby Swanson was the tipping point of like, do I feel like this is a starting shortstop in the bigs? So
Okay.
I have faith in this guy. I also have somebody that we haven't talked about in my top 19, but that's a whole different matter. As for Mason Wynn, 15 homers last year. I think that can go up. I think he's
32
going to grow
doubles.
into his bot. Yeah, 32 doubles was amazing.
Yeah, that's
And
nice.
better than league average batting average. Not great on base skills. All right. Get a little bit better in the plate discipline department. We'll see where you shake out at the end of the year, but give yourself a good healthy season again. I think he's going to hit at the top of that lineup. Is that where they have him?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Below league average in strikeout percentage.
Yeah. It's great.
17.1.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks great. Give him a shot. Give Mason Wynn a shot. All right, let's get to our sleepers, breakouts, and busts. Let's put a bow on this one. So let's start with our sleeper. Jason, I'm going to start with you. Who's your sleeper at this position?
It was Xavier Edwards, which I was surprised that all 4 of us had him on there. But being on the Marlins, he was kind of under the radar. But I think that this kid is, he's not gonna light the world on fire. But if he's gonna give you 30 stolen bases, yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, he's my sleeper pick. He looks like he could be something.
All right, Frank, who do you have as your sleeper here?
I think it's going to be Tovar. I think he's going to do good things this year finally.
Big Colorado Rockies shortstop fan here this year. Frank's got him as a sleeper. Mike Haber, who you got as a sleeper this year?
Someone we haven't talked about who was on my rankings, but I don't think made our aggregate top 19. Had the best year that nobody talked about, Zach Neto on the Angels.
Yeah, 23 homers and 30 stolen bases. That's a hell of a season.
Yeah, he did have off-season shoulder surgery, I believe, which is scary. And so obviously I want to see him get some spring training, just experience. But if he comes back in late April, early May, I could take a flyer on this guy. And if he could give me another 2020 season, I'd be really happy. So Zach Neto.
That would be amazing. Zach Neto, and you know what? He has a little bit of a strikeout problem, but at the end of the day, like, I think you'll take it from somebody this young. Hits about league average, on base percentage is fine comparing to guys that will go around him. I like it, man. I like Zach Neto for a sleeper. Mine's gonna be Jordan the King Waller. I think he's going to break. I think he'll break camp with the Diamondbacks and take that job from Geraldo Perdomo and just run with it. So watch out for Jordan Lawler in the preseason. Watch what he does in spring training. Let's get to our breakout, gentlemen. Jason, I'm back to you here with a breakout candidate. Who is it?
It's actually going to be Zach Neto.
Hey.
Yeah, I have him at 18, and look, I guess I missed the memo about the shoulder surgery. So yes, that is something to watch during spring training. But like, he stole 30 bases last year. Like, I was looking at his numbers from last year, and maybe because he's on the Angels, he kind of just goes under the radar. But I had no idea that he had 23 home runs and 30 stolen bases last year. Like, so yeah, he's 24. So like, I think there's more to grow here for him. 34 doubles. So yeah, the key is going to see how he is in spring training. But if he's healthy, even on a suspect Angels out lineup, I think this kid can break out.
Okay, Frank Bucco, who do you have as your breakout candidate this year?
Well, my breakout, I was gonna use. He has shortstop eligibility, so I ranked him. I think it's gonna be Matt McLain from the Reds. We didn't really see a lot of him last year. Obviously, we saw none of him last year. But I think besides Ellie De La Cruz, that lineup needs something. And Spencer Steer, yeah, okay. Carnacion Strand, sure, whatever. But I think this guy's going to be really good, and I think he's going to break out. But also, I have another one in Jeremy Pena. I think Jeremy Pena is going to do wonderful things in Houston. I really, really do.
Two from Frank here in Matt McLain and Jeremy Pena. Mike Haber, who do you have as your breakout candidate this year?
I think it's O'Neal Cruz's year. So I'm going O'Neal Cruz. Okay. Shortstop and center eligible too. I mean, that's pretty rare.
So that is pretty nice. That is pretty nice. I have him ranked one spot ahead of my breakout. It's going to be Ezequiel Tovar. I think we might be able to see some real improvement this year from him. Those 45 doubles could turn into more home runs, and that would just be ridiculous if we got a 30-homer shortstop out of Colorado. I just hope he's able to, control the plate discipline, get the strikeout rate down, and hopefully we see a breakout season from him. Jason, I'm back to you here with your bust candidate. Who are you staying away from?
The guy you just talked about, O'Neal Cruz. I don't know. I drafted him last year, and I was able to trade him over to Costas. I don't know. There's something about it. The Pirates lineup is, to me, one of the ugliest looking lineups in baseball. And like, especially if they trade Brian Reynolds, it's only gonna get worse. He has the skills. He has the. I get he hits the ball hard. But I think he's just a worse 2.0 version of Ellie De La Cruz or something like that. Like, nah, I'll find something somewhere else.
All right. Staying away from O'Neal Cruz and the bad Pittsburgh lineup and all of those strikeouts. Frank Bucco, who do you have as a bust this year?
I have the same guy, O'Neal Cruz. I don't think he's going to do much of anything.
Okay.
I mean, that's it.
Steering clear of the hand grenade. Mike Haber, who do you have as your bust this year?
I'm going a different Cruz. I'm going Ellie De La Cruz as my bust this year. Just given where he's being drafted right now, I'm not
Yeah.
doubting that he's an incredibly talented player. You will not see me drafting him in the top 8 picks of the bigs this year. So for that reason, he's a bust to me.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna go right along with you here and say Ellie De La Cruz because of where you need to draft him. If he's really going in the top 7 or 8 picks in a draft, I think he could be an absolute dud and tank your whole season. You can't win your draft in the first round, but you can certainly lose your draft in a first round. And this might be the guy who could do it. So, guys, I really appreciate you being here with me this evening. Shortstop has been a lot of fun. We were all over the map. Jason Ashby, thanks for being here, my friend.
Absolutely. I do gotta ask real quick.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 guys in my top 15 that we didn't talk about at all. I want to know what's wrong with Nico Horner and Tommy Edman.
Nico Horner is on me. I feel like there is a shoulder injury that he's also working through that I think he's going to miss time to start the season. Yes. So I didn't have him in my top 25.
Okay.
And Tommy Edman.
All those Dodgers around him.
All those Dodgers around him, and he's hitting 9th. Yes, I don't have him. Frank doesn't have him. And Mike had him at 23.
Okay. I was he had a down year last year with injuries, but I think a full year of being in that Dodgers lineup is going to be a real good bounce back for him. If we did bounce backs, he'd be my candidate for bounce back.
Not a bad name, and like you said, if he's going to hit 9th in that Dodgers order, all that means is he's hitting in front of Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Let me throw out a name out as well, just because Joe, you had mentioned it in a previous show. Trevor Story, and I'm just curious where Trevor Story fell for the rest of you guys.
Well,
I have him at 23.
Frank did not rank Trevor Story. He does not believe that he's a top 25 shortstop, and I don't blame him. He's coming off of 3 straight injury-plagued seasons. So I've got him at 20. Jason had him at 23, and Mike had him at 19. That was one of the guys that was 3-1.
Okay.
Nico Horner was the other, and we ended up talking about the other 2 in Zach Neto and Matt McClain. So, good job on us.
We did it.
We did it. Hey, also I have some late breaking news.
No way.
Not in the shortstop category, but Jack Flaherty has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Tigers.
Wow.
With an opt out.
Okay. So if he balls out, he gets to go back out to free agency and get another deal.
Yep.
Jack Flaherty back to Detroit. Well, he did have a good year there last year. You're not going to get him on the cheap like Ben Nisman did last year. So
I like pitching in the AL Central, though. I like that.
Yeah.
Playing games against the White Sox. Frank Bucco, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Absolutely. Love being here with you boys and just talking baseball.
Mike Haber, thank you again, my friend.
Yes, thank you for having me. Really love doing this. Looking forward to the confusion of outfield and whenever we do that. Can't wait.
Yeah. That's going to start next week. We're actually going to do 2 shows on that. So I'm expecting 50 from my friends here, and we will see how many we end up with and split it in half. Thank you guys all so much for watching and listening. Until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.